Hello there everyone, welcome back to another Gundam card game video. This is going to be a little bit of a recap for the Gundam card game regionals that took place in Bristol over this last weekend. As you can tell from the thumbnail, I topped it. I had a pretty solid run, unfortunately ended a bit earlier than I was hoping, but yeah, I mean obviously can't complain about topping back-to-back regionals, double qualification for the finals. Considering how anxious I was about even qualifying one time, I'm pretty over the moon about the results. So definitely cannot complain. So I just figured that it would be good to do a little bit of a summary of the event, of my matchups, of what I played, and then kind of update you on what I'm thinking for finals. But just before we get into that, I did want to celebrate a little bit because this is a pretty awesome achievement. First off, shout outs to the sponsor, Alexo Heavy Play. Thank you. Secondly, I'm going to be doing a giveaway. So I played Xeon Aggro, 1 Year War Aggro, and I've also been and I have a paid guide for that on Metafy. I also have a paid guide that's basically like a meta analysis for set 2, where I post all my deck lists and all that sort of stuff running up to tournaments and then analyze results as they come in. So the deck I played, the exact list, has been on my Metafy for like over a week. So anyone could have taken that, as well as all my thoughts and reasonings and testings and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to be giving away five free guides. So it can be either the Xeon Aggro guide or it can be the Meta Masterclass guide for Dual Impact. Your choice. All you have to do, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and of course, leave a comment. Comment can be anything. So just do that, and I'll be choosing 5 random people to win one of those guides. So yeah, that is the little fun giveaway. But let's go ahead now and jump into a little bit of a summary. So this was a tournament that I was feeling prepped for because the meta has kind of ended up being very similar to set 1. We're seeing basically a load of wing, a load of blue-white in Europe. We're seeing a bit more blue-purple. Obviously, well, you know, my last tournament, purple didn't exist in the game yet, so obviously a bit more of that. And a bit of resurgence in red-white as well. That's seeing a bit more play. And then obviously Xeon Aggro. So the meta is looking pretty similar, but white has absolutely risen up to be a color on the same power level as blue. So basically, blue in every color combo is viable, and white in pretty much every color combo is also viable. So we are definitely seeing a meta that is really defined by these two colors. And as a result, I was basically testing, and I was, you know, the more these wing decks took over, the more I was like, well, it really does seem like Xeon Aggro is the way here. But I think there's a couple of mistakes I maybe made in my meta read. The first of those was, I mean, I expected there to be, well, this wasn't wrong, but I expected there to be a lot more Xeon Aggro than I saw at top tables. But there was a lot of Xeon aggro in the room, and I think so. My first takeaway was that yes, aggro does see a high play rate, but a lot of players are really not good with aggro, and this is something that I'm starting to realize more and more. Like there is a really vanishingly small number of really good aggro players because it's kind of hard to play. And that's not to say that Wing isn't necessarily hard to play, but it's a much more obvious game plan. It's much easier to kind of see that level of success. And the problem with aggro is when you're against decks that are full of blockers, you actually have to engage your brain. You can't just turn your card sideways like you can in many other matchups where a lack of skill isn't really an issue. So that's why I think, you know, the massive boost in play rate in white, it does lead to a big play rate in Xeon aggro increase, but if you're not prepared to actually play that matchup, then it's not an obvious counter. I think that's also maybe why we see so many players looking to play the mirror and like hedge for that and playing things like Shenlong, which was everywhere this weekend. I think that's another really interesting thing. So that was the first thing where I think I was. So the tech choice I ended up making was the white base over my Share of Resolve. I'll flash a deck list up on the screen so you'll see it. But the list is, you know, basically stock with one change. I think this is exactly the same list as one Utrecht last weekend. I'm pretty sure. But so I was watching the stream and I saw the finalists play white base. I saw how much value you got out of it, and I was like, that's a really nice tech for wing, actually. That's really good. So I stole it. I tested it. I really liked it, and I went with it. I also was trying out other things. I was trying out Shenlong in Xeon Aggro, and that was also pretty good. So that's something I'm also going to continue to investigate. But anyway, so I think that was the first portion. I think the second portion is what I maybe didn't give these white decks, particularly Wing, enough credit for. Is they are the issue with Wing actually. So I incorrectly underplayed the impact of Rick Diaz, because I was like, well, yes, okay, they get redundancy right on their blockers, so they're going to see them on curve more often. But that doesn't really matter, and that's true. That doesn't really matter. What does matter though is in the middle point of the game where they just go, well, I'll have turns where they just slap down 2 or 3 blockers, and actually beforehand they weren't really doing that. They were still kind of playing one thing a turn. And so this shift to them playing a lower to the ground, larger quantity of blockers has definitely made things a bit more challenging for Xeon aggro. I think it's still a favoured matchup, but in my top 16 game, we'll come on to it, but basically I think I was pretty high rolled. There wasn't really much I could do in it. There was, I mean, it was possible I could have won game 2. I'm thinking back on it. I can't really think of how I would have done it, but like maybe there was a line that I just didn't see, but yeah, game 3 was pretty rough. Anyway, we'll come on to that later. But yeah, so that's definitely something that I think I didn't really give enough credit to the bullshit potential of Wing, and why, you will just get free wins from it, where it just comes up. But anyway, come on to that in a moment. Let's just quickly talk about my tournament. So round 1 I played against Blue Purple, and I decided, oh, you know what? I've been thinking about the theory of this, and I was like, well, I think I should be choosing second to Xeon, because it seems like almost everything in the format wants to go second. And then so I chose second. Then I was against Blue Purple, and I was like, oh yes, this is why I didn't want to choose second, because this matchup is completely unwinnable going second. Through some miracle, I win this, and this basically ends up being like the biggest like wake up call, like a lock in moment. I had to play through a really really rough situation. I did 0 damage until like turn 6. Like EX space was still there, and I was basically my game plan was, okay, don't die, set up lethal in 1 turn. So I I basically traded board, like got my opponent down to the point where, okay, I shouldn't be dead immediately. Then did like 2 damage, got my opponent to 5, and then just had a board of 6 units and was like, okay, I have a link in hand. So yes, my opponent can probably kill one thing, but as long as I can just weather this and my opponent doesn't see too many bullshit bursts, then I should just be able to swing this around. And my opponent saw 2 base bursts, including a nail Ogma, but thankfully, because they weren't able to answer my Gundam armor, because my Gundam it was Gundam armor, but at the turn at which I played, it was like turn 7 or turn 8 or something. It was really late, so it was like not answerable at that point in the game very easily for my opponent, because they had 0 resources basically. We both did. So thankfully, and White Base did some work in that matchup, as did Corsica Base. So yeah, thankfully was able to somehow eke out a win there, which was pretty miraculous. Round 2 I was against Wing, went first. Game plan very straightforward. I smashed that one. Round 3 was against Blue White. Sadly, the only Blue White I got to play, which I also went first and just steamrolled. Round 4 was the mirror. I went first again. This one was, I think, a relatively close mirror, but I think my opponent had very clearly not played the mirror a huge amount. So I was definitely able to get some like advantages on just getting good pings that my opponent really shouldn't have opened himself up to. It was still relatively close, but I think those pings pretty decidedly put me in a better position. Then round 5 I was against Wing again. These are all wins, by the way. So after round 5 against Wing, I go first. I also win this matchup, and I'm 5-0 at this point. Round 6 I'm against Red White, and this is actually against the eventual winner of the whole second place of the whole tournament, which was hilarious. And I went second against Red White, and I didn't actually know I was against Red White for like 5 turns, so I was just like, and that was a general trend actually. Like the problem with the white decks now is that you have no idea which one you're up against, and they kind of don't reveal it until really late. So yeah, this is something that is going to also need further thought on. But anyway, this was a very, very tough one going second, disadvantageous, but thankfully my opponent didn't have a huge amount of removal in the early game, so I was just about able to get there, even going second, but it was a tough one. Round 7, I was against the mirror. This was probably my closest match of the day, and I just about managed to win this one, but it was insanely close, like really, really, really close. Really, really great opponent. It was also a Star Wars player. Round 8, I was undefeated, so I was on the oh, sorry, I forgot to mention this. So I've also recorded all of the feature matches for this tournament. So I'm pretty busy over the next week or two, but I will be getting these all out before finals. This whole tournament, every round that was recorded with commentary, will be going up on my YouTube channel as well as on my Metafy. They will be going up on Metafy first. I'm saying that publicly, but they will all be out on YouTube before finals, so they will all be publicly available. But if you want early access to them, they will be on the Metafy, so please do check that out. But anyway, so this was my one feature match, obviously the one I lost. You guys will see why. It was pretty dire. I played only it was a mirror match, and I think I only played 2-2s and like 1 anxious, so yeah, not ideal. But yeah, ended up 7-1 in Swiss, so going 7-0 and then losing the last round in Swiss is obviously pretty nuts. I haven't done that in a very long time. And got second seed overall. My opponent match win was ridiculous, it was like 70-something%. And then top 16, went into Wing, won game 1, lost game 2. So game 1 was a pretty standard game. It was quite close, and I think it was relatively back and forth. Game 2, I drew just only pilots, like very few units and only pilots. Like there was one, like my 4 resource turn, I played down 3 armorers because I was like, well, this is all I have and I have to push tempo. And my opponent saw 1 billion blockers as well. And then game 3, my opponent saw 2 6 HP bursts and a base bursts and a striker pack burst. And I saw 0 pilots. I literally needed 1 pilot in the entire game to win it. So I'm like, I was pretty frustrated because it was like, if my deck had performed even, like, that was like an unbelievable low roll. Like, I don't even know what the percentage is on seeing 0 pilots in like half the deck. But it's pretty low. So yeah, I mean, obviously a bit frustrating, but that was where the run ended. But I mean, honestly, I can't really complain. You know, I had very good luck as well in the opening rounds of Swiss. You know, I've been winning a lot of die rolls, being able to choose to go first. And I probably would have gone first in a lot of those matchups anyway, but you know, it's still. And I think, you know, it's important to. I'm trying to focus on the areas in which I can improve. And there's definitely a few moments when I was thinking, okay, actually, that's probably not the best play I could have done. But overall, I think I was actually really happy with the way I played. I felt like I was, generally speaking, better than my opponents when I was winning. And I understood, like, the games I lost, I was like, you know what, like, frankly, they felt pretty out of my control. 2 of them, and then 1 of them, I think that game 2, like, even though I was bricked up with pilots, there was probably a way I could have maybe eked it out. So I'm going to go back and think about that, because I mean, I always want to be improving. But so that's basically the summary of the run. And yeah, so one other shout out I wanted to give is to Jacko, who I've been coaching running up to this event. And Jacko was someone who had been out of TCGs for a while and never really played Flesh and Blood competitively, but this is his first competitive game in a while. And so did a couple coaching sessions with him, basically coached him on Wing and 1 Year War. He ended up picking up my 1 Year War guide and went 5-3, so 1 win off of probably just squeaking into that top cut. But you know, a really, really fantastic result because of the sheer amount of Wing in the room. I think, you know, played very, very well because that is a matchup you have to use your brain. And so, you know, really, really happy with his performance and massive huge congratulations to Jacko. And looking forward to seeing him at finals, and we'll see what we can do there. But yeah, so in terms of finals, obviously keep an eye on my Metafy for the fastest updates there. I'll try and put stuff to YouTube as well, but Metafy is really where you want to be if you want the most up-to-date content. Thank you so much for watching this video. Remember to enter the giveaway. Remember to keep an eye out for those commentated matches, which will be coming out over the next few weeks. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Appreciate all the support. Lots of people as well came up to me over the weekend and were like, hey, I know who you are. I know your YouTube channel. Like, you know, I enjoy your content. So thanks very much for all of you who are watching. It obviously feels great to be recognised. And I'm hoping to do really well at finals and see if we can finally get a British representative over to Bandai for Worlds. So that's going to be over to Japan for Bandai Worlds. That's going to be my goal. Get to Worlds. So yeah, wish me luck and enter the giveaway. See you guys in the next video. Cheers.